I hate when I see a man that's so fine and then I pass him and he doesn't say anything.
Why men don't approach women anymore?
Men aren't single today because they can't get women. Let's kill that noise right now. Men are single because they finally realized one thing: peace is priceless.
Women scared them all away.
Today's dating is hell. You give a guy your number, and all of a sudden, you don't hear from them until like 3 to 4 days later.
All I see on social media is men being canceled and scrutinized just for being men. We have literally embarrassed, belittled, and threatened men just for trying to approach us women. I understand there are some horror stories out there, but women can be just as guilty.
Now, imagine this. You've worked hard for your stability. You've got your own place, your car, your money right, your hobby, your gym time, your freedom. Why would you risk all of that just to invite stress, drama, and disrespect? And listen, there's one truth to this video that flips the whole modern relationship model upside down. When you hear it, you'll understand why so many men are saying, never again. But let's start with the first and most painful wake-up call. Reason number one: divorce destroys a man's life. Divorce doesn't just end a relationship, it ends a man's life as he knows it. Picture this. One day he's grilling in the backyard of the home he spent 20 years paying off. Kids laughing, wife smiling, retirement plan in motion. The next day, he's in a one-bedroom apartment staring at pictures of his kids taped to the wall. And in that courtroom, it doesn't matter how loyal he was. It doesn't matter how much he sacrificed. The system doesn't care. The house? Gone. Half his retirement? Gone. Daily time with his kids? Reduced to whatever the paperwork says. And the cruelest part? He still has to pay alimony and child support, sometimes for decades, to the very person who left. That's not just heartbreak. That's devastation. And men are asking themselves, why would I want to walk into a system like this that rewards rebellion and punish loyalty?
I have noticed that guys don't want to chase no girl at all anymore.
Now, ladies, this isn't about men being bitter. This is about men being wise. Once a man sees how the game is played, he's not going to rush to sit at the table again. And keep this in your mind, because when we get to reason 11, I'll show you how the pain of divorce turns into wisdom that protects men from ever walking blind into it again. Reason number 2, no more wives, just performers. This one is going to sting, but it's the reality men are facing. Men don't see wives anymore. They see women performing the role of a wife until commitment, then switching up once they feel secure. Dating phase? She cooks, she laughs at your jokes, she's sweet, she's supportive, feminine. Commitment phase? The meals stop, the tone changes, the cooperation fades, and she becomes his rival instead of his partner.
Me, along with all of my friends, are all single. We have so many hobbies. We go to run clubs, the gym, social events. Like, we're out there. We're working. Where are the good men at? Where are y'all finding them?
Older men are calling it out for what it is, an act. And they're saying, I don't need an actress. I need a builder. Because let's be honest, fellas, a real wife adds value. She multiplies what you bring to the table. She helps turn a house into a home, your money into wealth, and your vision into legacy. But what do too many men see today? Women who want the benefit of a husband without the responsibility of being a wife. Women who want luxury but won't bring loyalty. Women who expect you to step in as an ATM, stepdad, and a therapist, all while they bring nothing but attitude and demand. Now ask yourself, does a man in his 40s who finally built structure in his life want to babysit dysfunction? Absolutely not. He's not dodging love. He's dodging destruction. And this flows directly into reason number 4, where we're exposed the biggest trick men are waking up to in dating, the bait and switch. Reason number 3, peace over problem. Let me make this as clear as possible. For men, peace is more valuable than presence. A man's home is supposed to be his castle, the one place he can put down his armor, kick off his shoes, and finally relax. But What happens when he brings the wrong woman into that home? It stops being a castle and it starts feeling like a battlefield. Suddenly, every decision becomes an argument. Every day feels like walking on eggshells. His energy is drained. His spirit is heavy. And the very place that should recharge him now suffocates him. Peace isn't silence, it's oxygen. And men have learned what happens when that oxygen gets cut off. So they ask themselves, why trade freedom for fighting? Why swap quiet for chaos? Why invite a storm into a house that was calm before she arrived? Here's the truth women don't like to hear. Men aren't avoiding relationships because they're scared of love. They're avoiding them because they've learned that peace is priceless. And speaking of peace, wait until we hit number 4. That's when we'll talk about how men's value has caught up with their age and why they are no longer desperate. They're discerning. Reason number 4, the bait and switch is real. Here's one of the most painful truths that men have had to face. Too many relationships today feel like a setup. At first, she's everything he dreamed of. She's cooking, laughing at his jokes, being supportive, and even acting feminine and cooperative. She shows him her best self. But the moment that ring goes on, something shifts. The cooking stops. The laughter fades. The sweetheart version disappears. And now he's living with her opposite. This is what men call the bait and switch. During dating, it's a performance. After commitment, it's a reveal. You've seen it. Your buddy was smiling ear to ear during engagement, right? Fast forward 2 years. He looks like a ghost of himself. Older men especially are spotting it earlier. They've been burned before, so now they test before they invest. They pay attention to whether her actions match her words consistently, not just in a honeymoon phase. Reason number 5, masculinity is treated like a threat. Let's address the cultural shift. We live in a society that causes the very trait that men are designed with: leadership, strength, discipline. Toxic. Think about that contradiction. Men are told, be a leader, protect your family, provide stability. But the second that they actually step up, they hear, you're controlling, you're outdated, you're oppressive. The same trait that built nations are now shamed. And men are asking, why step into a system that punishes me for doing the very thing I was created to do? Older men feel this deeply. They grew up in a world where masculinity meant responsibility. Now, those same traits are demonized. Instead of fighting to prove their worth to a culture that resents them, they're saying, forget it. I'll keep my peace instead. And this connects directly to reason number 10, where we'll talk about why men now hold high standards, or none at all. Reason number 6, women compete more than they cooperate. Too many relationships today feel less like partnership and more like rivalries. A healthy marriage should be about teamwork, but too often, men find themselves with women who compete instead of cooperating. Instead of supporting, she challenges. Instead of aligning, she resists. Instead of building, she battles. And men have realized something. 2 leaders going in opposite directions does not build a home. They split it apart. Older men especially don't have patience for this anymore. They've spent years in competitive workplaces, fighting bosses, clients, and deadlines. The last thing they want to do is to come home and fight their partners too, which leads us perfectly to reason number 7, the one that blows the whole marriage model wide open. Reason number 7, the feminized marriage model failed. For decades, men were fed a simple formula: happy wife, happy life. Sounds harmless, right? But what did it really create? A miserable husband, a maxed out credit card, and zero intimacy. Men thought that by catering to every demand, avoiding every argument, and making her happiness the center of the home, marriage would thrive. But instead of appreciation, they got entitlement. Instead of partnership, they got dictatorship. Men woke up and realized this wasn't love. It was servitude. A relationship where only one person needs matter isn't marriage. It's slavery in disguise. So now, Men are rejecting the entire formula. They're done sacrificing their joy just to keep the peace. They rather stay single than live in a system that drains them and rewards rebellion.
The problem is that women have become so cold and out of touch with our feminine energy that men are literally horrified of being that guy or getting canceled and trashed on. Most of them have just completely backed off because we women have been screaming at them not to come talk to us. We have to take accountability for our action and behavior as women and stop making men look like monsters and start embodying our feminine energy to be more warm and inviting for the right man to swoop you off your feet.
Reason number 10 will show you why men are drawing harder lines than ever with their standards. Reason number 8, men's value finally caught up with their age. This is a major shift, and men are starting to see it clearly. For women, their peak attention usually comes in their 20s. For men, their peak value comes in later, often in their 40s. Why? Because that's when he's built his money, his career, his discipline, and his confidence. In his 20s, he might have been invisible, broke, inexperienced, and still figuring himself out. But now in his 40s, that same man walks into a room and people notice. He carries presence. He has resources. He has wisdom. He has stability. And older men are realizing they're no longer the ones chasing validation. They are the validation. So, why would a man who finally has leverage throw it away on someone who brings drama instead of peace? He won't. He'll stay single until he finds someone worthy of what he's built. And this flows straight into number 9, because now that men understand their value, they're not looking for pretty faces anymore. They're looking for purpose. Reason number 9, purpose over pretty problems. Men today aren't impressed by looks alone. They've seen enough Instagram filters, makeup tricks, and surface level attraction. What they're looking for is deeper. They want alignment, a woman who builds legacy, not just selfies. A woman who multiplies his vision, not drains it. A woman who understands partnership, not competition. Because here's the truth, beauty fades, but purpose lasts. A beautiful woman with no character or cooperation is just chaos wrapped in makeup. So, men are saying no to pretty problems. They're not chasing women who look good for the gram. They want women who help them build something that lasts. And this perfectly sets up for reason number 10, where we'll expose why modern dating itself feels like spiritual poison. Reason number 10, the dating pool is spiritual poison. The dating pool today isn't just shallow, it's toxic. Swipe left, swipe right, filters instead of faces, hookups instead of commitment, attention seeking instead of loyalty. It's like swimming in a pool that looks refreshing on the surface, but underneath it's full of chlorine, oil, and broken glass. It's not water, it's poison. And older men are saying, I'm not diving in. They'd rather protect their spirit, their wallet, and their peace than drown in chaos disguised as romance. And that brings us to reason number 11, which flips the script, because this one isn't about women at all. It's about the men themselves. Reason number 11, fear of emotional vulnerability. Not every man stays single because of women. Some stay single because of the scars that they carry. A lot of men have been betrayed, cheated on, lied to, or left out after giving their all. And what happens after enough heartbreak? The walls go up. He tells himself, I'll never open up again. But here's the question. What's scarier? A woman leaving you, or you never letting anyone close to you ever again? Because closing your heart doesn't protect you. It just keeps you cold. You don't escape betrayal by shutting down. You escape by healing, by becoming discerning, by choosing better. And this loops us back to the bigger truth. Men aren't single because they can't get women. They're single because they're finally choosing wisdom, discernment, and peace over chaos, dysfunction, and fear. Men today are realizing that being single isn't a curse. It's protection. They're not running from women. They're running from chaos. They're not avoiding love. They're avoiding destruction. But Here's the key, fellas. The goal isn't to stay single forever. The goal is to stay single until you find peace, cooperation, and alignment, because your legacy is too valuable to waste on dysfunction. So, don't settle. Don't compromise. Don't let loneliness push you into chaos. Protect your peace until you find a partner who multiplies it. And ladies, if you're watching this and wondering why men don't choose you, it might be because you've been competing instead of cooperating, performing instead of building, bringing drama instead of peace, taking instead of giving. The truth is simple. Men are staying single not because they're weak, but because they're wise. A man doesn't need a woman to build a legacy. He needs peace, vision, and discipline. History is full of men who left legacies without wives or children. A woman can multiply a man's legacy, but the wrong one can erase it overnight. That's why men choose carefully or choose to stay alone. But here's the tension. Walking away protects men's peace. Sure. Yet, intimacy is still a human need. So, what's the solution? Are men supposed to go without or redefine what intimacy looks like? Drop a perspective in the comments below. I want to hear both sides. Legacy isn't built by settling. It's built by protecting your peace until the right partner proves worthy.